I brought it in yesterday.
Okay. Bridgette, welcome to Curious Conversations.
Thank you for having me.
We're excited. We've got a new setup and I'm really loving the chair situation.
I don't know.
This is very comfortable.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I don't know if excited is the right way to describe how I'm feeling right now because I feel like there's a common theme this season of Curious Conversations, and it's to do with my dating life, and I feel like this conversation is going to revolve a lot about maybe my shallowness.
Maybe. But I feel like before we dive into that, Bridgette, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Everyone's probably thinking, what the fuck? Why has dating got to do with this episode? But can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I recently moved from Perth to Sydney.
Oh, amazing.
After I had a swimwear brand for 14 years. I'm also a co-host on a mother women's podcast called The First Word.
Yeah.
And 12 months ago, I started a dating app with my co-founder, Brendan, called Hello Darling.
That's where the dating app comes in.
And this Hello Darling is not just your typical dating app. I think it's funny how the worlds collide. Tully has been in charge of my dating life for the past 2 months.
When you say dating life, so I said to Sarah, I think you're too superficial.
Shallow
When it comes to dating.
Right.
And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I want to have control of your dating app, and I want to have control of your dating life, and I want to help set up.
She used to go on my dating apps and be like, see, what's wrong with him? Yeah. I'm like, are you serious?
And then it's so weird because then you came into our life and was like, oh, this is the app. And I was like, oh my God, Sarah, this is so funny that you've come into our Curious Conversation podcast live.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where we were like, no, we definitely need you on. But do you want to go straight into the dating app part, or do you want to go into...
Can you tell me how it all went? Like what went down?
Okay. Are you allowed to talk about, because I think... So we have another rule. So no, this is not another rule. So in COVID, was I single in COVID? Yeah, I was single in COVID. I was dating. Sarah was dating. There was nothing to do in Melbourne because we were locked down for so long. So a lot of people were going on the dating apps and going for walk dates and stuff like that to kind of, I don't know, just take up time or whatever. And Sarah would openly talk about her dating life on the podcast.
And there was a stage where I was a juggler. had a bit of a roster going on.
So we had nicknames for these three guys? Yeah. We had nicknames for these three guys. And then one of the guys ended up listening to the podcast. And he's like, am I such and such? Am I baby daddy? And Sarah's like, fuck. And I was like, Sarah, I think I'm just protecting you. I think we need to stop talking about your dating life because you're giving too much away.
Yeah.
And that's what you have when you have a podcast. And I feel like some listeners love to hear updates and stuff. But now we're very mindful. Well, I'm mindful.
Yep.
The last time Sarah dated someone, I'm like, I'm just very mindful what to say because I don't want him to... so
course.
I don't know, can you talk about this?
I will. He asked probably not to be mentioned on...
That's why I was...
How many dates did you end up going on?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's someone Sarah necessarily wouldn't have swiped yes on. I can say that.
Yeah. But the banter he had with you, because they were voice noting each other, was funny.
Right.
And I liked that because I want to date someone who gets along with my friends, because Tully didn't like my ex and it was very difficult. And so I was like, you know what, this guy's funny. Let's go on a date. So we went on a date and it was good.
You've been on 3 dates.
3 dates with the one person?
The one person.
Oh, right. Not 3 separate dates.
No, we've had a couple, that guy that sent an email. That's a tragic story.
So we wanted a conversation starter on her dating app. And Sarah saw this thing on TikTok saying, hey, I'm taking applications. My friend is... What was the
girl was taking applications for her dating life. And she's like, you know what? If someone takes the time out to actually email this email, bonus points because they're showing effort straight away.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? My best friend's in charge of my dating life. Apply to this email address to her. She'll have to prove.
Everything. It was like Sarah's dating applications.
You've only checked it once.
At gmail.com if anyone's listening. That is the dating
And
application.
did you get many applications?
So we got a few.
Yeah.
And they were a big fat fucking no. I was like, oh my God, Sarah, no.
No, you literally pissed your pants laughing with the first one.
I was
What were they writing in the applications?
So one guy was like, to be honest, like, bless, it would have taken balls to write that. And I get that. It was something like, the first one was like, hey, you know, your profile like catched my eye. You know, you seem like a lovely girl. I'm a lovely guy. Like, it'd be cool. Like, if you see this email, whatever. It was really nice. The thing that got me, I was like, oh, this guy's lovely. He attached like 8 photos and they were like hunk 1, hunk 2, hunk 3, hunk 4, hunk 5. Like, that's what they were saying. And I was like, no.
Stop. He wrote that in the description?
Like, the, you know, the saved images when it has
God,
like
no.
what the name of the image is. And I said to Sarah, I'm like, no.
I bet he didn't realise he did that as well. How embarrassing.
I know. I was dead. I was like, no. And there was a couple of other guys and I was just like to Sarah, I'm not even showing you these profiles because it's a big fat no. But again, it takes credit. Like, I give these guys credit for taking the time to send you an application.
Send applications.
Yeah.
100%. But I'm still not sure or convinced that Tully can pick better than me.
Okay, so having said that, can you please explain to us what Hello Darling, that's the name of the app, right?
Yes.
Hello Darling is.
So it's a dating app.
Yes.
Where you pick a bestie and they swipe for you and pick your dates.
Okay.
So we think that your bestie knows you better than an algorithm.
It's true.
Which is true.
Yeah.
There's no chat function on there.
Okay.
Once there's a match,
Yeah.
you go straight on a date. And our idea behind that is that we just want to get you in person to see if there's connection and vibe. Because we've heard just on so many other like traditional dating apps that people are getting tired of just endless chatting.
Or no chatting.
Or no chat.
That's the thing. You match with someone and they actually don't chat.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other person's waiting to be asked out. Like, so once there's a match, we actually book the venue on behalf of the daters as well. Yes.
Because that's what we were just talking about before. I was like, I would never ever set Sarah up on like a disaster date. Like, it's because we were like, oh, what if your friend takes the piss? I would never do that.
No, you've got to like pick the right friend.
Yeah.
You know which friend will stitch you up and you know the friend that you trust.
Exactly.
And so when people say that to us, we're like, no. Like, you know the friend that you're going to like hand over your dating life to.
Tal's also a bit of a safe Sally, so she would want to know where we're meeting, what time. Make sure your phone,
your tracker on your phone, like.
Well, you will know. You'll know where she's going.
Okay.
So so the app is you both on there together, but you set up the data set up their own profile.
Oh, okay.
And then the bestie gets notified once they're ready to swipe. So you can sign up if you're a dater, or you can sign up as a bestie and you just invite the other person.
Oh, I like that.
And you can actually, the bestie is called the godparent, so the godmother, godfather, or godparent. And now we've just introduced that you can have multiple godparents. So you can have multiple friends swiping for you.
Oh my God, that actually would be a disaster.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if it was like me, Rosa, Lex?
Oh,
That's just getting too messy.
That's in my head.
I
That's
like
Friday night
that
dinner.
though. So what have you had, like, how did you come up with this idea? Because you've got 2 kids. Are you married?
Yes.
Okay, so a dating app.
I've never been on a dating app
Okay, this
before.
is wild. Yeah.
So I've never been on a dating app, but I was always grabbing my friend's phone and swiping for them because I missed out.
Okay.
I never got a chance to
I've
go
got
on
friends like
there.
you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for us, we're loving it. We don't have that dating app fatigue.
Right.
We love it.
Okay.
And so people are getting dating app fatigue on traditional dating apps. And so that's become a problem. So people are going off them, on them, off them, on them. And we're like, no, we need to pair them together.
Yep.
My co-founder approached me 12 months ago.
Okay.
And I was just kind of finishing the end of my swimwear career, thinking about what I was going to get into. And then he told me this concept and said, I want you to come in as my co-founder. So
that's cool. Yeah.
So Brendan has been dating.
Yeah.
I'm swiping for him.
Oh, that's how it worked. Okay,
Yes,
okay. I didn't
yes.
know if he was single or he was in a relationship.
He's
Okay,
single.
Okay,
He's used to dating apps.
Okay, so he's in that dating fatigue where he's like, no. And this is where I say to Sarah, I'm like, we were saying it the other day, sorry. No, but we were saying the other day, we've got another girlfriend who's pregnant and she's single. Baby brain. She's single. This is Rocky, but she's different because she's actually gay, but she is struggling to find a partner. And I was like, I was telling both of them, I'm like, maybe you guys are just going for the wrong person. Like, can I step in? And they're like, no. You were saying, no. I'm like, well, it's not fucking working for you yet. You're both single.
Yeah.
Like, surely can I just step in and like assist? Is that what was happening for him? He was going on numerous dates, on numerous dating apps, and nothing was happening.
Yeah, and I also think, like, men don't know the right photos to post on dating apps.
Oh, my God. True.
Like, they have no idea.
Did he have gym selfies before you took over?
Brendan didn't, but I've seen them on
the
there.
Sunglasses. I'm like,
No.
why are all your photos with sunglasses? You're clearly not attractive.
Or the car, them with like a car.
Fishing.
Oh, my God.
Do you know what gets me? And like, I think guys think it's cute, but I'm like, stop when they hold like their nieces or like.
It's like, is this your baby?
I know.
Or...
And like, are you a baby daddy? Like,
Yeah.
I'm confused because I'm not going to swipe on you because I think you're a dad. Not that that's an issue, but I'm like, sometimes you don't want someone to have that much baggage. But I was just like, it's so, all the fish.
Yeah.
Like hanging onto the fish or like a dead animal.
They have no idea. At the start, when we were toying with the app and coming up with all the concepts, we were looking at the data selects, say, 10 images, and then the godparent selects the top 6. But also what we're finding is men actually don't have many photos of themselves. Like, they don't have single photos of themselves.
That's why they're all
Take
gym mirror selfies.
Group ones.
They're
And you're
going
like,
out
which one
to
is
take
it?
them.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
So that makes sense.
So we're like, let's just meet. Like, we want people to kind of get off the apps and just meet in person, because you could spend like weeks or hours just going back texting, and we're like, just give them an hour, have a coffee, have a drink, meet in person, and then decide yes or no.
Have you had any successful stories
Yes.
with Oh,
Please tell.
Yes. I mean, we've only been going for 8 weeks, so it's very early on. But we do a lot of user calls, and someone that went on a date said he would never have swiped right on this person, never. And they met in person and they were there for 4 hours, and they've been on 3 dates since.
Oh, see, that's nice.
Yeah. And because there's no chat function on there, after the date has finished, you get a notification. The daters get a notification saying, would you like to go on a second date? And if you both press yes, then we book the second date.
Oh, cute.
Like, a lot of the time they're going to exchange numbers
Yeah.
or whatever. But sometimes maybe they don't have the balls to ask the other one for their number, or they don't know where it went, or... So it's got that option as well. So we've had a couple of first, second dates.
Oh, that's cute.
But
Logistically, I'm just thinking from like now business side of this app. Logistically, you guys having to book the dates and stuff. If this, when this app goes ginormous and huge, how are you guys going to control that back end side?
So we'll have an online booking system.
Okay.
Yeah. So at the moment you select your postcode.
Okay.
And there's a calendar availability. So you enter your like weekly calendar availability in there. And then
that's hard. Well, mine's going to be like, you have a date at midnight on Thursday.
yeah, well, you can change it. Like, if you're away or whatever, you just clear it. Like, you can't date that week, whatever it is.
Okay.
And then once we see the postcodes, we book somewhere in the middle between the postcodes.
Yeah.
And it's at a venue where you can order a coffee, a wine, food, no food. At this point, it's like not expensive restaurants or anything like that, but nice, like a wine bar or something like that.
Nice first date location.
I feel like an app like Hello Darling is for people that actually want a relationship.
Yes.
That's the thing that I'm seeing a common trend on dating apps is, and we're talking about this before, when you've given more options, you want to see if the grass is greener on the other side. So on dating apps at the moment, and I think a lot of women feel like this, it's, oh, but what if like a really hot guy's the next one, the next one, the next one? So you just keep going and you don't give your energy to one person. So it's hard to, I think it's
I think it's the same as guys, though. I think there's probably a lot of guys.
100%.
Yeah.
That's why there's it gets to a point you're like, oh, that person actually thinks I'm attractive, but then that's as far as it goes. That's where the communication goes.
Like, and dating apps, I don't know what it's like. I mean, Sydney's probably similar, but I met my partner on Hinge, a dating app, but when I was single and on a dating app, you'd get guys that would like you, and then you'd get no response at all, and then 2 weeks later you'd see them at a fucking social event and they pretend they don't know you. I'm like, clearly you know me. You swiped yes on me, or do you just swipe yes on everyone and don't actually remember?
Like, do you want attention? Do you want validation?
Well, that's what it is. I think it's validation.
It's cutting out all that bullshit, really. Like, we just want to kind of cut the bullshit out. At the start, we were thinking our demographic's going to be maybe the 30 plus people that are ready to settle down, because to ask a friend to kind of do a favor, we think they're not going to be just the friend getting you hookups.
Yeah, true.
But what we've noticed is even the people in their mid-20s are kind of loving the app.
Really?
I think that it's the fun side of it. But there might also be, we don't like to tell people how to date.
Yeah.
But we think that people that are on the app are generally there to actually meet.
Yeah.
They're not there to get validation. They
Well,
can't.
that's where you have to be there to meet someone, because you don't have a communication tool.
Yeah,
No.
true.
So
And
it's
soon
either
as there's
you got the balls to meet up or you don't.
Yeah, as soon as there's a like, you're going on a date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that. So you've been running for 8 weeks. How have you guys is it just all word of mouth at the moment?
So we built a wait list before.
Smart.
Yeah, because we had to have like enough people on the
Yeah.
app for people to swipe. So for the first 3 months, probably 6 months, we were doing like guerrilla marketing, and we were writing love notes and walking like 20 Ks a day, putting love notes on car
cute.
windscreens with like my lipstick kiss on it and a QR code to scan it, and it would go to our wait list.
Oh, that's
So we had
smart.
about 1,500 people on our wait list before we launched.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guerrilla marketing, we always talk about guerrilla marketing. We think it's literally going to be the next stage of marketing. Like,
We did that at Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, we were giving out Taylor Swift vouchers at the Taylor
For
Swift
Swifties only.
But it's free advertising, and you got 1,500 people that scanned it because you're curious. You want to know.
It's really surprised me because with my swimwear brand, like 99% of it was social media marketing.
Yeah.
And now we've done posters, decals on the floor, some billboards, just like Bondi, Eastern Suburbs.
Yeah.
Everybody is seeing it.
Wow.
And it's surprised me. Like, our growth has been more than what we expected. Like, we're really happy. But it's the traditional marketing that's
coming
really
back.
surprised me more than just digital marketing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there is a massive shift. And we're actually recording a podcast this afternoon with one of the girls that does like social media marketing and stuff at Chemist Warehouse. And I'm so interested to see where everyone's spending their money, because I think it is, I mean, Chemist Warehouse is such a different company because they're
Different beast.
But I'm really interested to see, because I think the guerrilla marketing and going back to old school is where it's at, because social media, it's just like too expensive now.
Yeah.
We actually had a conversation with a CMO yesterday, and we asked her that question as well. I said, what do you think is the next thing in marketing and advertising? And she said, I think brands are going to go back to the traditional model of having real ambassadors, like long-term contract ambassadors. That's where it's going to go.
Yeah, the face of the brand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you might be looking at one in the middle here. Sorry.
Hopefully I'm a success story.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I know. I still want to talk about the dating app, but I do want to go back a little bit to where you started the swimwear brand, because I have to say, well, you had a store in Bali, right?
Yes.
Were
you living up there?
I was,
Yeah.
and I bought a few pairs of your swimwear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I remember they had like frills and stuff on them. They were so
Yeah.
cute. But how different is this company to your swimwear company different, like passion-wise? Because I know fashion's hard,
Yes.
and you do it because you love it, but it's fucking hard.
Yes.
Which one is more rewarding at this stage?
I feel like it depends on where you are in your career
Yeah.
at that time in your life. Like, I was 21 when I started Amore Sorvete. I was very driven. I had great work ethic. I moved up to Bali for 3.5 years, opened 2 stores there. and then moved back to Perth, opened another store there. There was no Instagram around when I first launched. I'm a dinosaur. And so it was all very traditional. Like, I loved our stores. I loved swimwear. I loved the beach lifestyle. I just thrived in it and went quite quickly to the US market, Miami Swim Show, and doing collaborations over there. And when I was in it, I loved it. Like, I still do have a passion for being creative and designing. And when summer comes, I'm like, I want to create my own bikini again. And then when Brendan came to me with this concept, I was like, I didn't give him an answer straight away. I was like, I need to have a passion for what I'm about to do, because this is going to be the next 10, 15 years of my life. Like, I need to want it. Firstly, I loved Brendan. Like, we'd been friends for 10 years and we've always caught up with business. And then when he told me about the concept, I was like, this is a great concept, but I haven't been single in 10 years. I haven't been on a dating app. But it was the idea of what I thought we could create. Like, I knew that anything he would do would be extremely successful, and I saw such a bigger picture. And I felt like I had, living in Perth, my swimwear career, absolutely loved it. There was definitely like really hard times in that period where you just want to chuck in the towel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And give up.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's suicide, not homicide, where brands, fail. They just drop off because they give up. So I knew I had that long-term longevity of pushing and not giving up and seeing where this could go. So when I was thinking about what I was going to do with Amore Sorvete, and I had no idea about Hello Darling at this point, I had itchy feet in Perth. Like, besides living in Bali, I lived in Perth my whole life. And I was like, is this it? Like, is this my life now? I remember just, dropping the kids to school and picking them up and working from home. And I'm like, fuck, I just feel like I have more. Like, I have more drive and I want to create something huge, but I don't know what it is. So I made a very quick decision in January. I said, yeah, let's do this. And then 2 months later, rented out our house in Perth, pulled the kids out of school, moved to Sydney. Wow. Hadn't even seen our house that we were living in that I was moving the kids to. It was midway through Marley's year one and I hadn't even seen any of her schools. So it was all very daunting, but I've always kind of been like, and an opportunity comes in, like, you've got to take it, because I knew that if I didn't, I could regret it for the rest of my life. So.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's nice. I think it's... Well, you go, because you were going to say something.
I was going to say, how are you finding the transition to tech? Because that's the transition we're in.
Yeah.
And not many people know that. That we have a tech company as well. But I often feel like maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome is the right word.
Yes.
Do you get that?
Yes, I did at the start for sure.
Yeah.
Because we did an accelerator course, like StartMate. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No.
It's a tech startup course in Sydney, where you have you have your little cohort groups and everyone's doing startups. Everyone's talking so technical. And I'm like, what am I doing? And there's majority men in the tech world. I think there's only 20% women. And I was telling Brendan, it would be Brendan and I, and a man would come up and shake Brendan's hand and introduce him to Brendan and not even look at and acknowledge me. This has happened multiple times. Still, and I'm not used to it in the industry. Like swimwear, it's just females and women and blah, blah, blah. So this is very new to me, trying to feel like I need to use my masculine energy in the workforce to try and prove myself when I shouldn't have to prove myself, because it should come from inside, but there's definitely times where I've been doubting myself, why don't they acknowledge me? Is it because I'm a female, or is it because I'm not smart enough? Or I had imposter syndrome quite bad at the start. I think it was that accelerator course where it was around tech people.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm a design, what do you, they asked, what do you do? What did you do? I'm a swimwear designer. And they're like, oh, so you're blah, blah, blah. And so, it was, I had imposter syndrome at the start for sure. How do you guys feel?
now that you've explained that, I was like, it could explain a lot of the communication issues that we're having with our current company. So this was a company that was established before, all men, and they needed female energy and our experience into the business. So they approached us, and we've kind of come in halfway, but would explain why some of them don't communicate with us.
So we've come on as co-founders. I think by the time this episode comes out, we can talk about it. So we can describe what it is.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It's called U-Cart. It's a universal wish list and universal checkout cart. So you can save something from your swimwear line and Tully Lou, and it goes to one universal web page, and then you can check out from that page.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and then it's got a part of it for influencers. Well, we're not saying influencers, it could be anyone, but it's like a like to know it. So you could have your outfit on and tag your outfit, refer it to UCart, and then you get, if someone buys that, you get a commission from it. So it's that section is like to know it, but we want it to be for everyone. We want everyone to be able to earn a passive income.
An Amazon storefront for
Yeah,
everyday
exactly.
people.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
it's really hard though, because you just saying about the imposter syndrome, I'm just like, oh, that would explain why there are men in this company that he doesn't communicate with us. He communicates through the other guys, and then the other guys
Relay
come
it
to us.
back to us.
And I was just listening to you, and I'm like, oh, that would explain why, because he thinks that we're just women.
And you know, maybe we're presuming that I don't
True,
know.
true.
Like I don't know, but it's definitely where my mind goes straight away.
Sad.
And I think that's because I've got a male co-founder as well.
Yeah.
So I see him, and he's educating me a lot in so many ways in business and in the tech world. And I'm, you know, a lot of the time I like the fact that I'm learning something new.
That's
you know?
my jam. Like,
Yeah.
This tech world and investment world is so foreign to me that I knew that it made me uncomfortable. And so I'm in this stage of life, if it makes you uncomfortable, you have to lean into it.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, leaning into it. I'm like reaching out to all these investment firms, having investment meetings, having meetings in like Hong Kong. And I'm like, fuck, like I never thought I was capable of all these
but
things.
how fun.
Yeah.
And like it's such an adventure at the same time.
Yep.
Like I said, like I want new goals and new challenges. That's why I wanted to finish Amore Sorvete. I'd feel like I was just doing the same thing over and over again. And at least we've got that opportunity to like lean into it and
absolutely.
just say, like, we're going to look back in 5-10 years and go, fuck, we've learned so much.
Absolutely. Have you guys gone out to investors? Because tech companies are quite expensive to start up.
Yes.
And if you want to broaden like the app and stuff, are you looking in investors? How have you gone there?
No, we're bootstrapping at the
Okay,
moment.
yeah.
So
Go you.
yeah.
Good on you. Yeah.
We're bootstrapping the first initial round, and then we'll probably look at raising in 12 months.
Yeah.
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 So you've got like a whole plan.
Yeah, well, we're kind of just rolling with it at the moment. Like our revenue model is very different to other traditional dating apps. It's free for all users.
Okay.
So only 6% of users actually pay on traditional dating apps.
I don't pay.
Do you have
No,
to? I was going to
not
say
many
the
people
only
do.
app that I paid for, and it's so wanky, was Raya.
Oh, you wanker.
To be fair though, can I just say something? I had Raya when it first came out, and there was hardly anyone on there. Now every motherfucker is
Was
on
it
there.
hard to get on initially at the start?
No, because I got on through Blondie.
Yep.
So we used to go back and forth to LA all the time. And when it first started, one of our makeup artists was like, oh my God, there's a new dating app, Raya, like you have to get accepted. I was like, oh, I'll try and get on. And I got on fine.
Yeah.
It was easy. For me it was, but there was no
For
one.
me, it wasn't. I was still not accepted.
There was no one from Australia really on there. It
Yeah.
was all international. And I had it for a while because I actually did meet some really cool people on there that I didn't necessarily date or hook up with. Like I did
For
meet,
business?
Yes. And like Marcus, that guy, like I met some really cool people that I actually still talk to now. Didn't go on dates. And then I think it's probably been the last like 3 years. It's like saturated now. Like when I was single before I met Damien like 3 years ago, like there was just randoms from Melbourne and stuff on there. I'm like, oh, this is getting not nice now.
Yeah, the whole boutique feel of it's kind of goes. So
Yeah, like I matched with some pretty like famous people, like or influential
But did it
people.
go, that's it. You matched with them, and that's the thing.
I
with these-
spoke to some of them. Like there was like soccer players, like there was NFL players, soccer players. Like I would talk to them, and then you go to WhatsApp and you talk to them. But I lived in fucking Australia,
Yeah,
so
right.
it's like
So that's the thing with Raya, right? Like
Yeah.
they're everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's not
Yeah.
just
And-
focused in the city that you're living in.
And back then, like I said, there was no one really in Australia. It was all international.
And
so,
what's the point of that?
well, I travelled.
ego validation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was kind of nice, like, to have people to talk to. Like, 'cause you know when sometimes you're dating, it's kind of nice to have someone to talk to. Kind of knew things weren't going to happen, but it was like, oh, I'm talking
Little
to them. It's like-
flirt.
yeah, exactly. But then it just got oversaturated, and I was like, oh, no.
And it's like, also, where is this going? Because we're not going to meet unless
Exactly.
we're into like
yeah.
international.
And I don't know, I only know one couple who have met on Raya that are still together, and that's Morgan Riddle and Taylor Fritz.
Oh.
And Taylor Fritz Morgan is like one of our friends. Taylor Fritz is a tennis player. They met on Raya.
Yeah,
They're
right.
the only ones I know that have been successful on Raya.
Have you consulted dating experts for the app?
We have one of my friends where we work is actually a dating coach.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we've spoken to Sarah before, and yeah, she's actually on the dating app herself, so
Oh, I
she
love
loves
that.
it. Yeah.
What advice does she give you for people that are dating? Because this said person that I went on a few dates with, that Tully set me up with, he's trying to learn about dating and dating better. And he's like, I'm trying to get really comfortable with rejection. And I'm like, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
And it's like the way you take rejection in life, in dating, is such a skill and can either boost your confidence or completely flatline it. And his example was, I'm going on all these dates, dating people, and he goes, if this person doesn't like me, it doesn't matter. That just means I'm one step closer to meeting my person.
I like that.
I was like, that's actually a really good
Yes.
way of thinking about dating.
Instead
Yes.
of sabotaging yourself,
Exactly.
like, and thinking that you're a shit person or you're not worthy, that's actually a really good
Yeah.
way to put it.
So I think that's also probably a thing when it comes to dating apps, because when there's no communication, when you don't actually catch up, it is
Or even start a conversation.
it hits your confidence
yeah,
hard.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think because you're putting yourself out there more on dating apps than you are in real life.
Absolutely.
Because you're whether you're swiping right on people and not getting anything back, the more you're putting yourself out there, the more rejection you're going to feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what with Hello Darling, obviously because your friend is swiping for you, you don't know how many times that your friend has
I'm
actually.
not feeling the rejection. You
Yeah.
are. Yeah, right.
You don't know how many times that she has swiped right on someone.
Yeah.
So you don't feel that rejection.
That's
And
so
the
true.
I like that actually,
Yeah.
because even when I was on dating apps, like I would swipe on someone, they would swipe and you'd be like, hey, how are you? And they'd give you donuts. And I'm like, oh my God, fuck, I must be such a shit person. Like, you just don't think you're worthy. Like, fuck. And then you get more down in that rabbit hole of like, I'm never going to meet anyone. Like, I feel
Yes.
so shit. I kind of like
Yeah.
that.
And what we are trying to do is give the data more validation in
Yeah.
so many ways, because they're not actually on there themselves. It's like we're thinking constantly, like we're adding new features every day. We're analyzing, we're talking to users, we're seeing what can we do to make it more, because the issue that we can have is that the data doesn't feel any connection because they're not the ones looking at the profile. So it's like, how can we make that humanize it a bit more and have some kind of connection and validation while they're on there.
Yeah.
So we do have an app that, a tab in the app that has admirers, so that the bestie can see all the people that has hearted them.
Yep.
So then you can kind of go through it and go, yes, no, yes, no, yes,
I like
no.
that too, yeah.
But what we're looking at now is having the data not see the profiles, but seeing how many hearts they're getting. So they are getting some kind of validation without all the rejection on the side.
I like that because then it doesn't make you feel shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still so intrigued. Like, are you literally going on a blind date?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
we haven't, I'm saying we because I have to download the app too, don't I? If I'm swiping.
Yes.
Yeah. So we haven't downloaded the app yet because we wanted to wait to talk to you to get a better understanding. But after this, we will download the app and give everyone a little update. Because you've done a lot of the guerrilla marketing in Sydney.
Yes.
Are there any Melbourne people on the app?
We haven't launched in Melbourne yet.
So I can't even go on. Jesus Christ.
We're actually putting a first billboard up in Melbourne next week.
Okay.
Put me on the Melbourne wait list.
And we do have a wait list.
Okay,
we
put
need
me
to
on
go
the
on the
wait
wait
list.
So sign up to the wait list. But yeah, what was your question?
Oh, if there was any Melbourne people on there.
Melbourne we think will be our next city.
Yeah.
We're just trying to focus on Sydney at the moment.
Yeah.
Obviously just after you launch a business, you need to focus in a small area.
Absolutely.
And, make all the changes and features and learn like as quickly as you can, but in a smaller demographic.
When it comes to the single person's profile, do they fill it out or does the bestie fill it out?
So the data is filling it out. We initially had in our concept that the bestie fills it out, but it was just too much work for the bestie. But what we do have is that the bestie can write a bio on the data because we think that not everyone talks themselves up.
100%.
Oh, I
So
like
you
that.
can write a bio about your friend and talk them up.
Oh, that's cute. I
Yeah.
like that.
How much information do you put on your profile?
It's up to, I suppose it's like other...
So you have your age. Do you have your age, location?
You have your age, location, and then there's prompts, photos, bio. It's up to the data how much they put on there.
Okay.
I think there's like a minimum as to how many prompts.
Yeah.
And then there's an option for you to also write a bio on yourself.
When you're swiping for your mate Brendan, do you read the profiles?
Yes.
Okay. That's another thing. People don't put a lot of information
No,
in there.
and I find that really hard. Sometimes people just put one-worded
Exactly.
answers.
And you're like,
Yes.
you're not giving me much,
No.
so I'm not gonna
Yeah.
tick you or swipe on you because you're boring.
Yeah, and what we've done, I don't know because I haven't obviously been
Yeah.
on Hinge or Bumble.
Yeah.
You can have a play later if you want.
You have to actually scroll down at least halfway through their profile before the heart or cross comes up. So you've got to give them a chance.
That's good because with Hinge, it's on the start and you go dun dun dun, and then you're like, "Fuck, he was hot. How do I go back?" Like it's
yeah, you've got to
literally-
actually be careful at it. So
Yeah.
you scroll down a little bit to actually
That's a great
not just
one.
go off the top photo.
Yes.
Because, the
top photo is
it
too
might be a
sexy.
fishing
Me.
photo,
I'm that
a
girl.
gym selfie.
And that's what I said to Sarah. I'm like, you're swiping too many times. Like, you're going to actually read their profile. Like,
Yeah.
they might be funny. They might be nice.
The
like,
second photo might be a little bit better than the
Exactly.
first image.
Or sometimes they get you with the first photo and you're like, yeah. And then you're like, oh, nah. Oh, nah.
Have you also, because we're talking about dating, have you ever been on a date, Sarah, where the guy looks like something in
Completely
Oh
different.
my God, I have too. I went on a date once in lockdown and I was like, oh, this guy's kind of cute, whatever. And I think he had like 6 foot something. And I met up with him and he was so small, like not a midget, but he was like tiny. Had like his fucking backpack on, came on his scooter. And I was like, oh my God, I can't.
Stop. I've been
And
on
the
a
whole time we're having coffee and I'm like thinking, how the fuck can I get out of this?
Yeah.
Like, how?
I've hooked up with someone once at a club after way too many
Yeah.
drinks. Anyway, I thought it was the hottest thing
Had
ever.
beer goggles on.
Had beer goggles on. Got his number. He texted me a couple of days later, said, let's go for dinner. He picked me up from my house. Don't ever get them to pick you up.
They know where you live.
And I
That's
got
true.
there and he had midget hands.
No.
Midget hands on the steering
Sarah,
wheel.
That's one of Sarah's
And I
icks.
was like, I'm stuck now.
Like, how can I get out of this
Midget
car?
hands
God.
are my worst.
Thank you, Bridgette, because I was once dating this guy and he's attractive.
He was attractive. He's
He's-
aged a little bit.
Yeah, well, hello, we're all gotten older. And Tully was like, he's so lovely, he's hot. What? Like,
Like,
what
he's
happened?
so hot. He's so styly.
He had ugly hands. I was like,
They midget hands?
They're like,
Feminine.
no, they're feminine, but just fat fingers, real ugly, and I was like, I couldn't hold his hands without getting the ick. I was like, I didn't want those hands to touch me. I was like, thank you, just validated my shallowness.
I think we've all been on one of those, and you're like, oh my god, not what I expect. But that's what happens with dating apps. Like,
I've been catfished, and
who were you catfished by?
a guy.
The one that was in prison.
I bet he didn't have that on his profile.
No, he didn't. And we met.
Should he?
Oh my god,
I forgot about that actually.
Me too. Oh my god, I've been on some doozies.
So did he tell you on the first date that he'd been in
just got out of prison?
Right.
And I messaged the girls. I was like, SOS, this dude has just been like released from prison.
Stop. Did he tell you what he was in there for? Or did you ask?
Yes, 100. And I was like, what's prison like? What happened? Oh my God. Like I'm a curious person. So I was getting all the details. And then I was like, I'm blocking that number. I'm never seeing you ever again. The catfish one was a guy. Do you know when sometimes you can tell the photos are old and
that's another problem.
So he was attractive. He was attractive. We met at a cafe before
I don't know if I remember
before personal training one day. And I was walking in, and then he's like,
you're like, where are you?
literally. And he's like, I'm here. And I'm like, where the fuck is this guy? Like, and then this person who's fat, bald, is waving at me.
Oh my God, so slut.
No.
I was like, oh no. And then I felt sorry for him. So I sat down, had a coffee, but all the time I'm like, you look nothing.
No,
and I
that's
guess
not
the
okay.
photos were like, what, 5 years old?
It was longer. I was like, I actually felt sorry for him because I was like, that's actually really sad that you have to put up such old photos because you don't like yourself.
But also, how does he think he can get away with it?
I know. Like, it's quite
fair to say, I
obvious.
never saw him again either.
But it's going to be obvious once you get there and realise he's got no hair and he's put on
But he
weight.
seems confident, like waving, hey, I'm here. That seems confident, no?
I don't know.
Like, I'd be like, no, you're not. Who is this person?
Maybe he wanted to date someone like you that doesn't care about looks. Like,
No, I do care. Like, in that way, I'm like, if you don't look like a fucking photo, I care.
Yeah.
Like, that.
Yeah, what
that
else are you
shows-
going to start lying about?
Exactly. That just does show self-confidence. Like, I think.
that, do you know what? There's so many funny marketing things you could do with the
Oh
horror
my
stories
God.
of dating apps.
I'm just trying to think of other stories about, like, no, it is when they don't look like their photo and you're like, what the fuck?
Just like the prison one got me. That was a great one. Jesus Christ.
I also don't like in the dating scene ghosting. I think
Yes.
it's so mean and so awful, but I have to admit I have ghosted probably 2 or 3 guys in lockdown that I just went on coffee dates and stuff and I just was not interested and they would message me all the time, but they were too pushy. Be like, oh, do you want to come over to my house for a movie? Which in lockdown we weren't supposed to be going to anyone's houses, but they were so pushy that I just would stop writing back and I did ghost them. But I think ghosting is really not a nice thing to do to someone.
I've got a question, Bridge, and you
Sure.
can probably put these questions to Tal. What would you put on my Hello Darling profile?
Like the bio.
Bio, everything. How would you sell me?
I need a little bit of time to think about that, but because you just got me. But I would be like, hey, I'm Sarah, aka Spacini. That's not my last name. No, I'd be just like, what would I say? I would say, I wouldn't say anything about you being superficial. I'd be like, I'm taking over Sarah's profile because I think I could choose a better date for you than what you would. I'm a down-to-earth, hardworking, really nice girl who is just looking for someone with the same values, who I feel safe with. Just like everything that you want in a guy, I would outlay that. But then I would also say about your personality traits. Like, you've got a really kind heart. I wouldn't say you're a people pleaser. But no, I just feel like you've got a really kind heart, hardworking, great family, great values, love to eat pasta, would love a wine after April 12th because she's sober at the moment. I would just be like, I just want someone who is like-minded.
And then this is where the difference is, right? What types of guys would you want for me if you're looking at a profile?
The kind of guys I would want for you is someone
Taking consideration, you have to like them.
Yes, just I haven't finished. So I would choose someone who is like dark Italian looking, preferably with blue eyes, Italian if he was there. It doesn't have to be Italian, but like I feel like a Euro guy for you. And then I feel like they have to be active looking, like fit.
Just because similar lifestyles. And that's what I'm picking up
Yeah.
recently in dating. I'm like,
Has to be
you
someone
don't
that's
value
active.
the same thing I do. Like, I value health.
Yeah.
You got to have to look after yourself and care. Like, it's this, I also feel it's a self-respect thing.
Absolutely.
Looking after yourself.
I think someone who is like if I could find someone that's your type, like dark Italian, great. But if he wasn't dark Italian, but he was fit,
I'm just thinking of who I've been on the date with. Nothing like that.
well, there was no one like that on there. That's what I'm saying. But if there was someone on there that looked like that, again, they just have to be fit looking. He was fit looking. He runs.
Yeah.
Did
Was
good
he
there.
was he Italian looking?
He was not
European?
Euro, but he was like
Dark.
Yeah, dark.
He,
He's French. Sorry.
Are they blonde, blue eyed?
No, he was like, no, but he wasn't like Australian. But there could be any ethnicity. I'm just saying. I know that's what you find really attractive. Fit looking.
I don't mind a tradie.
Yeah, well, do you know what? Trade is fucking hard working.
Yeah.
They're never home, so it's great. Thanks, Amy.
rigs.
But yeah, fit looking, loves to have a good time, not going out, but going out for dinners and stuff. Like if that represented on a profile, I'd be like, oh,
Or
he'd be
if
nice.
he puts up festival photos, you'll be like, no.
Yeah.
Because you want someone
right.
that you can go to dinner, like you want to have your best friend dating someone that you could, go to the gym with, like as a because my partner's active as well, like as a foursome, go to the gym, then go to dinners and stuff. You want someone that has the same lifestyle. So I'd choose someone like that.
Yeah. Okay.
No party images.
No.
No club
Was it a
images.
blind date when you went?
No.
You saw the profile
On
before?
Hinge. Yep.
Right. How far before? Was this after Tully started chatting to him?
So
When did you
I
get the
had I
approval?
have the thing on my profile.
Yep.
It's a great conversation starter. And he's like, said something about my bestie. And I was like, oh, tell voice note him back. And so then they just started voice
Right.
noting. And so then from there he's like, cool, when are you free? He took full charge of the
Which I
date,
like that.
Which I like as well. I like, don't have to think about anything. Like every date we've been on, he's like, when are you free?
That's nice.
And
Which
do you
is
know
really nice.
Chivalry.
The beautiful thing about him is because of a dating coach, I'm pretty sure it was, he was like, the way I message you is so intentional. He's like, I message you and say, let's go for a date on a Tuesday night.
He means it.
And he goes, but if you say, oh, I can't on a Tuesday, he goes, cool. I know then you have no intention basically of catching up because you cut the conversation.
Oh,
but if
no.
you actually show interest, you're like, I can't Tuesday, but how about I'm free Thursday,
that's
Friday?
fair. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's so true.
That's
so
true.
as females, we also have to communicate clearer. And if you are interested in a person, give other options of when you're
Yeah,
free.
Yes.
that is true actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been and we do communicate really great. And so I've been so mindful since then when he's like, can you catch up? I'm like, oh, I've got a really busy this week, but this is when I'm free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So it's
love
all
it.
about communication, right?
Yeah, it
Yes.
is about communication, and it's so important when you're, like we were just talking about before. There's a lot of guys that are not good texters, a lot of guys that can't communicate over phone, and that's why I think it's kind of nice that there's no communication aspect of your dating app, because I could tap out if someone was giving me short answers. I'm tapping out, but then they might actually generally be
Yeah.
a really great communicator. They're just not good on text. So
Yeah.
I would have tapped out. We were just talking about it to Zach before. He was like, I'm shit on text.
Yeah. And we read, as females, we read into
Absolutely.
every single, was there a full stop at the end of that sentence?
Like,
or
is that
was
done?
it?
Yeah.
I feel like if there's a full stop at the end of the sentence,
It's done.
It's done. It's close off. I don't want to have this conversation. If there's no full stop at the end, it's like
It's open.
Even if there was no question, you got to reply to that.
Yeah.
It's how we,
That's
as
true.
females,
Yeah.
interpret things. But some guys just have no idea.
Yeah,
And-
our producer Zach was just saying that. He's like, he's so mindful of how he communicates. He's like, my girlfriend will write something. He's like, I'll write something back
Like
so short, and she will now be like, are you pissed off at me,
Yes.
or are you short because you're in meetings? And he's like, hey babe, I've got a deadline. I'm not being short. I love you, but
Let's
I've got
talk
no,
about
I
this
can't.
later.
I actually don't have time to talk to
So
you
many
right now.
times when they're just like, okay, or cool. And it's like,
Is that it?
what have I done?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, no. Like, we read into
So
it way too
much.
much.
So before you guys launched Hello Darling, because you weren't on dating apps, did you do any research at all about any of the Hinge, Tinder?
I was on Brendan's
okay.
Hinge
Yeah, yeah.
swiping for him there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just, looking at how also like how I felt at the time.
Yeah.
And we're still going through the process. So we've just added a new feature where you can invite a second godparent.
Yeah.
And then he was showing me his app where he had 2 other godparents. And all of a sudden I started getting competitive. And I was like, because we've now put when the last time each godparent has swiped.
That's cool.
And so I saw that and I was like, oh, I haven't swiped in 2 days. They swiped today.
I need to get on.
I need to get on.
My girls would be like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're like, okay, so this can work in our favor now. How can we encourage that? So now it appears on my profile that I can see his other godparents and how often they're swiping. So then it makes me want to swipe more.
I
Because-
also think maybe I've got a best guy friend. His point of view would be completely different of who he picks compared to who Tully picks.
Your dates?
Yeah, I think Christian would be like, oh no, he's a wanker. Look at him. Like, boys read boys differently to how girls read boys.
He's also super superficial. That's
probably
really
why he's my
bad,
best mate.
That's a really bad example of like, I don't know. I just feel like when it comes to Melbourne, we'll download it and we'll see. And I just think, just go with the flow.
All my
Trust me.
girlfriends are competitive, so this is great. They
Yeah.
will want
But
the title.
every one of
Yeah.
us, I think, would choose someone different for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you say you're going to get, so say Tully's crossed 5 of the datas that have come through. They're still going to appear on the other person's profile. So even though you've crossed them, your other
can
friend might
still-
think, no, I think this will be good.
This is brilliant.
Yes.
Okay. My gals are
Yes.
competitive, so this is great.
Yes.
That's interesting. I still think
You got
I'd
a
have the better
new
interest.
new job when you're on maternity leave.
Yeah, I know. I'll be swiping.
And what we are now wanting to eventually introduce is, say that you, Tully, you're on there for Sarah and another friend. Say you're on Sarah's swiping, but you're like, oh no, this would be perfect for Jane.
Oh, that's a good idea.
we want to try and send it out so we can go, oh no, this isn't for Sarah, but it's for Jane.
I like that.
Yeah.
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 So can you link up any of your social, because this is another thing with Hinge, and actually Raya especially, you had to link your Instagram. So it was very wanky in that way. But with Hinge, you can attach your Instagram, can't you? And Bumble.
Yep.
You can't attach
No.
socials, because sometimes I find that to be fucked, because I would look at people, like if I looked at Damien's social profile on the dating app, I'd be like, oh, gross. Like, yuck, nah, no thank you. Like, and don't you think like sometimes when you see their socials, you're like, oh, nah.
Yeah, 100%. Or sometimes I go to their socials because it's like, this is my at. I'm like, oh, definitely
Yeah,
not.
or
Lucky.
then you see the
Yeah.
mutual friends and you're like, oh, they're not my
Yeah.
kind of mutual friends. They're party friends. I don't want to be friends with this person. So you can't link your
No.
socials or anything?
We've decided against that.
I like that.
But also because we don't want them to start chatting.
Oh, that's true. Okay,
We
yeah,
don't
true.
want them
That's
to.
smart.
It's like no.
Yeah.
Again, let's just meet in person.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it could work in your favor if their socials were better than their profile. But like you said, you've come across so many where they're not.
Yeah.
So no, we don't want it to link
Yeah.
to social
So
media.
Sydney siders can sign up right now.
Yes, Sydney siders can date. Melbourne can jump on our wait list.
Okay.
And they go to a website for that. They go to the Instagram.
So our Instagram, our social media is My Hello Darling.
Okay.
On the App Store, it's Hello Darling. So you can either go to hellodarling.com to sign up to the wait list, or you can go to the App Store, which is Hello
And we'll
Darling.
put it in the show notes
Yeah,
as well.
we will.
Yep.
And so what about, because we do have listeners all over the world, but especially in Australia, what about all the other states?
We will get there.
I feel like Gold Coast would be great.
Yes. We're
Yeah.
going to, the plan is to sack Australia
Yeah.
and then move to the US,
Yeah.
we think.
Amazing.
Yeah, so you can sign up anywhere in the world
Okay.
to the wait list at this
Yeah.
point.
Is that this? Sorry, this is a random question, but is there any other app out there that is like yours?
We've heard that Tinder has recently introduced a swipe for your friend.
Okay.
But
Tinder's also one of the apps that you just wouldn't download.
Oh, I've never been on Tinder.
I feel like it's just a hookup app, no?
Never been on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And I think there's still, I think they're swiping, but you're still seeing them. You're still chatting.
Communicating.
There's no other I don't think, I don't even know if the other person has the app to swipe. But yeah, I have. Yeah, there's definitely going to be other, there's dating apps that come out weekly, you know, that you just never hear of. So you've just got to, our plan is just to move really fast. So hopefully we don't get duplicated.
Maybe
in
I
the
might be
meantime.
one of the first success stories.
Maybe there's a Hello Darling marriage.
Maybe.
Oh my
Oh my
God,
God. Guys, don't get my hopes up. Thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with us.
Thank you for having me.
No, I loved learning about the app. Now I'm just excited for it to come to Melbourne.
You're excited for the control. That's what you're excited for.
We just need all the guys we need to do all the guerrilla marketing so all the guys.
She'll be your
Wait, what's
marketing.
a very good demographic? Richmond?
Great demographic.
I'll go around Richmond and put them on the card. 'cause it's Really cute boys in Richmond.
So I've heard.
Yeah. That's your demographic, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you